Hello, this is Kristen Leonard, and I'm here to talk about 5 common errors that I am seeing this semester. So I'm going to make it very brief, and I hope you'll find this helpful. If you don't, then that's great. Maybe you're already doing your compositions, um, but otherwise, maybe this will be helpful. But so let me go ahead and begin with number one. So number one is avoid using this as a noun. You should use the word this, as an article. In other words, to point out this cat, this apple, this phone, this idea, this example, this issue. Oftentimes I'll see it being used, this word this being used as a noun when a student will take a long time explaining a certain concept or idea or problem. And then about a sentence or two later, they want to go back and reference the earlier example, whether it was like an idea or concept, an issue. And so what they'll say is something, or what they'll write is something like, this should be changed. And the assumption is that readers are going to follow along with that and know what this should be changed. After all, we as writers think that the reader follows us along after this sentence and this sentence and this sentence and this idea. But it's wrong for us as writers to assume our readers are always going to remember. So it's important to go ahead and explain again that if this is a concept or idea or problem, then name it. If you want to use this to point out, then that's fine. This idea or this strategy is wrong. This approach is wrong. So instead of just using this, and I get it, we talk like this. So when we talk about something, we'll say, this is a problem. And you would be able to follow me because, of course, we're having a conversation. We were just talking about some issue or something going on. And if I say this is a problem, it's clear you would follow what this is, hopefully. So just remember, I also see this used sometime as, I call this a rough draft word. Sometimes it's something that just helps students get writing, just moving from one idea to another, a filler word, in other words, something to get our brain going from one idea to another. So check your rough drafts. Sometimes it's there just to help you move forward in your essay. Number two, each paragraph should have 5 to 7 sentences. Or another way you want to think about this is it should take up 1/2 to 3/4 of your first page. I'm referring to MLA style, which would be double-spaced 12-point font times Roman. An example of what do I mean by 1/2 to 3/4? Well, if you look here, you will see this actually comes from MLA.org, which is actually the Style Center guide, kind of the headquarters. I use this in another essay later on too. So I want to show you this one. You'll see this has a proper MLA heading. This starts at the very top. It's double spaced. The title is double spaced. And the only reason it takes up 2 lines on that title right there is that the title is so long. And so when we continue on, if you look at that very first paragraph, you can see it's very obvious this takes up 1/2 of this page. So, for example, if I were to draw, I haven't even counted how many sentences are here, but it is 1/2. Or another way to think about it is 1/2 of the page. And you'll see the next paragraph begins right here at that midpoint and continues on to the top of page 2. We have another example right here. And this probably is at least 5 sentences. Well, so let's continue on. All right, what's the next one? So if you think about it that way in a visual sense, you're aiming for about 1/2 a page with MLA. Notice too, the conclusion would fall in that same another thing I do see often is that the conclusion, we just, we writers run out of time and space, and all of a sudden the conclusion becomes 2 sentences long. Just aim for that to be a full half a page, or like I note, 5 to 7 sentences. Again, this is my soft rule. All right. And as many times as I make this rule, if I aim for something that I am totally accepting of something when it's about a good chunk of 1/2 to 3/4 that first page, or a second page, or whatever page. Okay, next. All right. So if you're given the assignment to write some sort of essay or composition or a paper, and it's a brief paper, if you're in a class where it's college composition or an academic class, if you're attending a university or a community college, chances are your teacher is looking for an introduction, some body paragraph, and conclusion. All of my classes, this is what I'm looking for an essay question. What that means is just introduce it in some way, give us a body paragraph, give us a conclusion, okay? You can't go wrong with this. It's better to be safe and at least do this and do, better to do more than do less. All right. In academic writing, again, I'm talking about a college composition, aim to end the paragraph with your words. I'm referring to citing in either MLA or APA. So the last sentence in that paragraph should be your words, not cited information. For example, a direct quote, a summary, or paraphrase. Obviously, a creative work, a narrative essay would not fall into that category. So let's take a look right here. So if you look at this sample essay with the MLA, you can see right here, we'll kind of move up to this page. All right. And you can see right here that we have this writer here has used a direct quote right here, and they are citing their sources, but it is surrounded with their words right here in front of it, and the words that follow. Again, we have that same style right here. The writer is using a direct quote, citing it in correct MLA. And of course, the reason that it's only the page number is because the author's name is in the sentence. And then we have that same format. So you can see this, and I'll leave a link here to this essay. But if you keep your eyes open, you'll see in the examples of textbooks, you'll see even in academic research, as you move forward in class, you'll see how writers do that. Again, we get a little bit, I've noticed that we're a little more informal. However, this is still a rule. And you can see right here, this is a beautiful example. We have a cited material. This is a summary or paraphrase from Littlejohn and Foss, page 901. But we have we're ending the paragraph with the writer's words. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and include cite something from an outside source, whether it's a literary analysis, whether it's a reflection, or whatever it is, end it with your words. Again, if you're writing a personal narrative, it doesn't apply because the whole thing is first person personal narrative. Last but not least, avoid starting a sentence with a quote. This is so common. I call it the floating quotation. So you want to avoid just the random quote that comes out of nowhere. Even though it's an amazing quote, you need to open it with either your words or a signal phrase. And what am I referring to? If we look back here, we can see this example beautifully. So we have a direct quote. Right here we have Scott McCloud confirms this idea in Understanding Comics, the Invisible Art by stating with the graphic novel, quote, "What you see is seldom what you get if all you're seeing is just ink and paper. In the end, you get what you give." And that would be end quote. And this is the page that, this is the page where we could find it, page 136, 137. This is an example of using the writer, our words to blend with that quoted material, or we can use a signal phrase, something that introduces it. So we could introduce it. Let me find an example here. Oh, this is kind of an example. Jason Dittmar argues that this is a signal phrase that introduces what Jason Dittmar is going to argue. Jason Dittmar argues, she has the word that in here also. Recent work on the geographies of reading has been dominated by textuality and has neglected the visual field. So we are ending that quote. So even though this writer may have loved this quote, it's not just floating out of nowhere. It's not recent work on the geographies of reading has been dominated. No, we're introducing it so our readers can follow us. They know that this quote comes from Dittmar. And notice, because the name is right here in the sentence, Jason Dittmar, and we have argues that because we have Dittmar here, we only need the page number, page 222, because those are the two key components in citing sources in MLA. But I don't want to take too much time on that. That is another whole video altogether. Okay, so anyway, I hope that helps a lot. Perhaps this is a mistake or something that you're struggling with. Perhaps it's not. Either way, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right.